And in this video, I wanted to dive into that. I wanted to go into detail. You see, the sky is where one of life's most vital processes happen, rain. And it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who sends winds, who stirs up the sky. You see, when water evaporates, it doesn't just go straight up into the sky. It gets pushed up by the wind into the top of the sky. So you see, one of the most vital roles for life on earth was explained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an 1400 years ago. We send up a radio wave out into the sky at an angle, and what happens is it will bounce off the ionosphere and go back down and be received by another radio tower. Have you ever looked up the sky? Like, yeah, it looks beautiful, but it seems like that's just it. But in reality, it's not. The sky is actually one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's greatest blessings on mankind. So you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Qur'an, and we made the sky a well-guarded roof for mankind. Yet still they turn away from our signs. You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly stated in the Qur'an that the sky is a well-guarded thing for us. It's protection for us. And in this video, I wanted to dive into that. I wanted to go into detail on why the sky is such a blessing for us and why we should be more appreciative of it. So let's dive right in. First, I wanted to just go over some of the quick things that the sky does for us. You see, when meteors come into the atmosphere, which is a lot more than you would think. Have you ever been to a meteor shower? Each one of those streaks is a huge meteor that could cause some serious damage if it wasn't for the sky. You see, when a meteor enters our atmosphere, it collides with air particles really fast. And when it does, those air particles will shave off a little bit of the meteor, pretty much dissolving it in mid-air. So by the time it does get down to ground, it's become so small and lost so much of its speed that it's pretty much not a threat anymore. It can't cause any sizable damage unless it was huge and moving extremely fast. So you see, it's not just that. The sky also acts as a shield for us. You see, the sun gives off tons and tons of harmful rays that would most likely end life on Earth if they got onto us. But the sky has an ozone layer, which helps filter out all the unnecessary harmful rays, but still lets in sunlight and UV light, which helps a lot of life on Earth. It's essential for life on Earth. The dinosaurs died not because of the meteor, but because of the dust cloud that covered the Earth and stopped sunlight from getting through. And you see, the sky doesn't just do that, it also helps with temperature control. You see, the upper layers of the sky reflect heat back down at us. And if they didn't, then heat would just go up and up and up and up and out into space. So if it wasn't for this top layer of the Earth that reflects heat back down at us, you would just freeze to death. There would be no heat. All the heat from the sun would just bounce back out into space and just no life on Earth. So you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these are just a couple things from the sky, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us so much. So you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Qur'an, and we made the heaven in 7 layers. You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Mulk, and we made the heavens in 7 layers, one on top of another. And you see, modern science lines up with this statement in the Qur'an. You see, the sky is made up of 7 layers. There's obviously the troposphere, which is the one we all live in. It's the one where rain comes in, and it's the one where the air we breathe is. You see, another one is the stratosphere. That's where the ozone layer is. You know, I already talked about that. It's the one that filters out all the harmful rays and lets in all the good rays. And then there's the thermosphere and exosphere. These are the ones that are responsible for burning meteors, reflecting radio waves back at the Earth, and merging into space. So you see, each layer works in harmony like a well-oiled machine that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could create and balance. You see, the sky is where one of life's most vital processes happen, rain. And it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who sends winds, who stirs up the sky, and he spreads out the sky however he pleases. And you will see rain coming out and pouring out of the middle of them. You see, this aligns perfectly with modern meteorology. You see, when water evaporates, it doesn't just go straight up into the sky. It gets pushed up by the wind into the top of the sky. And as it clumps onto dust particles or salt crystals, it forms up, however Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, it will form up into these huge clouds. And when it gets put together and enough water molecules get put in the same spot, the cloud will turn gray and rain will come down. So you see, one of the most vital roles for life on Earth was explained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an 1400 years ago, and in such detail. You see, how could this be anything but divine? You see, nowadays we can do all these studies and we have all these sources. We have the internet, for crying out loud. But back then, a man in the desert who didn't really receive any formal education knew all this. How could this be anything but divine? There's also the part of the sky that reflects radio waves. You see, I already mentioned this before, but there's a part of the sky called the ionosphere. And when radio waves go up into this part of the sky, they don't go out into space, they actually bounce back down. And you see, without this feature of the sky, long distance communication would be near impossible. So you see, the way we communicate in long distances, this is what happened. The way we communicate over long distances, by the way, this happens every single time you have a phone call. We send up a radio wave out into the sky at an angle. And what happens is it will bounce off the ionosphere and go back down and be received by another radio tower. So you see, without the sky, without this blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, long distance communication would be near impossible. Hell, it would be almost impossible for you to call your friend, at the other side of the state. That would be really hard. So let's take a step back and see what we covered in the video. We covered all the blessings of the sky, subhanallah. We covered how the sky stops meteors. We covered how the sky filters out harmful rays. We covered how the sky helps bounce off radio waves, and we covered a lot more. You see, the sky is one of the greatest blessings for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not only is it beautiful, but it helps protect us from so many things, and it helps benefit us in so many ways. So you see, how could a man in the 7th century never received a formal education know all this stuff in such detail? And this is just the sky. He has so many other miracles that came out of it. And the Qur'an, so perfect in its wording, and so many scientific miracles come out of it. It's mentioned so many things back in the 7th century, when when science was barely starting out. You see, how could this be anything but divine? Nowadays, we have the internet, we have all these devices and fancy tools to help us figure these things out. But back then, they had nothing. This has to be divine. You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us so many gifts. Today, I went over the sky. So next time you look up, next time you go out, look up at the sky. And don't just say, subhanallah, this is beautiful. Say, mashallah, subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us protection and beauty and benefits in something that we look over every single day. We don't even say mashallah. So let's all try and be more grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for even the things that may seem little, okay? Allah Hafiz. The things that may seem little, okay? Allah Hafiz.